Hey guys, so we're just going to get up here of what's going on. It looks like the house is already almost down. Here we go. Let me get this back up. All right, good morning. We're still here in the morning. We still got some things going on. The house is coming down as we speak. The house is coming down as we speak. It is a hard sight to see. I have to be honest with you. This is going to be a very hard sight to see. Sorry, I'm trying to find some other But until then, we're gonna go ahead and play this. I'm just gonna mute myself while you guys watch this just for a quick second, and then I'll be right back with. If anybody has a better feed, send it to me, because right now we're watching WFLA. And they're going to be going off. So let me go ahead and put that out. We are fully underway right now with the demolition of the house, the King Road residence house. And right now they have the house almost down. They have the whole front half of the house down from the last little bit that we just saw. Let me see if I can pull this up and get us some previous. Get back to the demolition of the house. Here we go. So as you can see, they've got the whole front half of the house taken down. It's all the way up to Xana's room. It's just completely, utterly flat. And they got to be really careful because they're really close. I mean, that other house, the one that Hunter and what was that girl's name? I said we watched it here this morning. I forget her name. Heather, I think, is what the name might be. Something like that. They lived in that house, and it was their camera that picked up the dog as well as the whimpering coming from Kernodle's room, which is right behind that arm, right there on that machine. Right over there is Xana's room, and where Bethany were. Bethany was on one side, downstairs on the first floor, and Xana was on the second floor on the other side. Now I don't know where Dylan's room was in conjunction, because we know that Dylan was almost diagonal from Xana's room, and Xana was on that side. The kitchen was on this side, so she was right there. So I wonder if that other front window was her. That was her. That was the living room. So she must have the side window. We're gonna have to go back and look at some of our footage. But there it is, guys. The house is coming down. I don't know how I really feel about this, to be honest with you. I'm just unsure. It's tough. It's tough. Let me see if I can get this feed up, because I'm going back on the feeds instead of on the front of the feeds. So give me just a second. Let me see where we are, if they pan back over to the house or not. I just don't want to hear JB. I don't have any. They're panning back to the house. So let me go ahead and pan back to the house for you guys. So by this afternoon, I can tell you just from my own personal experience, this is not they're gonna tear this house down and it's gonna be done today. Like just in a several hours. When they did the one across the street, they crushed it all in and then they just came in with all the heavy equipment and started loading it up in the dump trucks and pulling it out. Literally within several hours, I want to say three. Well, I think the house, obviously, the house across the street from me was much smaller. It was probably one third of the house that they have right now. But the house that they have that they're doing right now will probably be a good. I don't know. I would think that they'll have this house completely down and moved out by this afternoon. It should be done this evening, quite frankly. It's still dark there. This time of year, it's still dark. You know, over here, it's 10 o'clock. It's just now 7 there. Angel, it's nice to see you up here. Sinister, Heat Seahorse, good afternoon or good morning. I see Gigi for life. It's nice to see you, TL. Sorry I have not come in here and said hi to you guys. Oh, wow, look at that. Oh, look at that. The house is already halfway gone. All that's left of that house is those bedrooms. I don't know how I feel about this. This is so stinking emotional. I don't know how this is so emotional. It really is. I'm gonna put this up here. I'm gonna see if I can find a better feed. Does anybody have any? Is anybody else seeing it on any other feed by any chance? Oh, here we got some other stuff coming. Hold on, give me just a second. I gotta change accounts real quick because I'm not hit with these. I'm gonna still keep looking for some live feeds coming in. We're already starting to see some photos of the stuff coming in. Tollway zone. They even have photos up here for the tollway zone. There's them coming in. Let me see if they have any more. It looks like Nancy Lou is out there. So let me see if she's got any more footage. Looks like her team's out there. Oh, wow. Yeah, here we go. And I think that might be it for for now. I don't know if there's any other, just keep going. Oh, I just dropped you guys, didn't I? Sorry, I keep forgetting when I go back, it drops it. If I go back, it doesn't. There we go. Sorry about that. So they're not really looking at a whole bunch of anything. They're just kind of looking up at the sky at the moment on this feed. So just give me a second. I'm still working on feeds. Get this back up here so you guys can at least see it. There we go. And then we're back. Okay, so let me go ahead and pull this in. So you guys have something to watch while I'm still looking. They got a lot of stuff going in. I just wish they had a decent live feed other than WFLA, because WFLA is, I can, oh, thank you, Only M. I can go without volume, but especially since it's coming, I'd like to get the feed from News Nation, because they're good for me. Let's see what's going on here.
Have to speak for them when you feel someone is hurting the case. Let's just answer the question on why the King Road house should stand for basic evidentiary purposes.
I agree that for basic evidentiary purposes, this should stay in place. But like I said, there's a lot of stuff going on here in Moscow. Ugh, this is irritating. Sorry, getting what I'm wanting. We definitely have people on out there, but I don't know why we don't have more live streams going on with them out there if they're out there, because News Nation, we know that they're getting the news stream from News Nation, but we don't know where that news stream. Oh, let me put you guys back on.
What were the vantage points of the roommates?
There we go. I can't believe, look at that house. The whole front of it's gone. They've already got the whole front of it down. I got to go back to the picture to see what the picture looks like. Oh, wow. I just realized the whole front of the house where Xana and Bethany were staying, and Dylan, the living room, that is all missing, because I'm looking at my thumbnail, because I'm like, what portion did they take off? They took off literally the whole front of the house, Xana's room and everything. Xana's room is already gone. It appears that it's already gone. Maybe, hold on, let me look at that. Let me look at those windows. Is that a window? No, the windows are all gone. There's no windows. They took off the Xana's room and Dylan's room are all gone. This is we're looking at the backside of where the kitchen, and as it's going into, that's the third floor. The whole second floor is gone. So we're looking at the third floor right now. And that's the floor that that Kaylee and Maddie were on. Gosh, that's so weird. I got to look at I'm still looking at my thumbnail. I keep having to look at my thumbnail. Sure is. The whole front, because that second floor was on the front of the house, not the back of the house. So they've got the whole second floor down. So it's really just a 2-story house at this moment. That's all it is. That's a good point, Jen. What did Jen say? Let me read the chat. Let me see what you guys got going on in the chat. Thank you. Only M. I think I already said thank you, but just in case I didn't. Oh, Mama Llama's in the house. It's nice to see you, Love Bug. GG for life. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, guys. Senator Seahorse friends will never forget what happened. That's for sure. Pebbles, Shannon, it's nice to see you. Congrats, Lady 7-Up. I don't know what we're congratulating you on, but congrats. Congrats. Real Me Too. I agree. I have blatant reminder. This is just my opinion. I still think this whole thing needs to just stay up. I wish all this stuff wouldn't be there. How can they be doing this demolition through the night hours? It's not. It's actually it's just not. The sun's not up there. They don't get sun like we do here in Florida. You know, it's unfortunate, but they don't. So it looks like it's nighttime. They worked through the night, but they didn't. They just got there at 7 a.m., which is 10 a.m. our time here on the East Coast. They started about 20 minutes early. Yeah. Well, I can see why they want to get in and get out. I mean, you got to understand there's probably about several crews across the street. Let me see if Olivia's out there yet. I told Olivia she needed to get there early, but I'm not sure if she did or not. Justin is on house. It's already being torn down. Yes. Let me see. Hold on. Give me just a second. Let me listen to this. Yeah, I think we're all pulling from the one source, and the one source is WFLA. So we've got the one source that's we've got. I'm going to keep looking for
being allowed to proceed because the university wants to heal. But the fact of the matter is that this is going to be in the news repeatedly.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. I think that's a problem. Is none of this really makes sense because, and I think we've already talked about it all so many times, is the fact that this is they're demolishing this house for what purpose? It's definitely not for the healing of the students. And again, I think it has to do, and I haven't heard, but I'm not listening to JB intensely here, but I have to believe that that this is financially motivated. Think about it. They've had to have either law enforcement personnel or private security sit on this house 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no matter what, 365 days. You have to have a body sitting in front of that house. You're talking about a home that's not providing you any type of monetary benefit whatsoever. It is literally a liability because all it's doing is taking from the university. And I was getting back before the phone rang earlier is the budget, of these universities. They've got to be good stewards of the university funds as well. So we're all angry with them. And I'm kind of angry with them because I feel like this is the wrong thing to do, but I understand why they're doing it. And I understand that it will not, at the end of the day, I don't feel that this is going to affect the case. If I truly felt like this was going to affect the case, we would have paid for me to go out there to start protesting. And I would have, chained myself to the house, done something like that to advocate for this if need be, if I really thought that this really was going to help the matter. I promise you, I would have chained myself to the fence. I'm pretty sure many of us would have been out there freezing our tails off, chained to a stinking fence, having them have to cut our chains off and going to jail, right? I mean, that's how we advocate, right? Sometimes it takes that. Sometimes that's what it requires. But the reason why we're not here is because I truly believe that they're going to be able to prove their case with or without this home. I truly believe this home holds something for a juror that's going to make them get off their fence. But you know what? This case is so strong, in my opinion, so extremely strong that I believe they're going to be able to come to a guilty plea very, very quickly. I think we don't realize that Bryan Kohberger made some major mistakes in his planning and execution of this kill. So I have to believe, with as close to the chest as they've been with this case, I truly believe that there is so much more evidence that we do not have. I don't believe Bill Thompson would risk his reputation or the justice of these 4 students if he honestly didn't believe that he could prove his case. The whole front of this house, guys, is gone. What we're looking at right now is just the stairs to go up to the third floor where Kaylee was residing, and or maybe this is the kitchen. No, that's the third floor because I can see the porch on the back side of the balcony on the back side of the house at the third floor. So the second floor is gone, guys. So what you're looking at is basically the third floor. That's what you're looking at. You're looking at the stairway. I mean, there's still a bedroom on both the bottom side, but what you're looking at, that hole, is the steps to go up to the second floor. The second floor is gone. Or excuse me, the steps to go up to the third floor. That right there is the second floor that you just seen, that big gaping hole. That was the second floor. Where all that shrubbery is, that's the first floor. So you walked in on the first floor, you went up to the second floor, which had the kitchen and the living room on it. And then you had another set of stairs that went up to the third floor where Kaylee and Maddie's rooms were. The second floor where Xana and Dylan were residing is gone. It is no longer. I see kind of now that they're tearing this house apart how truly choppy it was. Because as weird as it is, it doesn't look like it's a 3-story home now that they got that whole front half taken off. Because the third floor was really on the back side of the home versus the front side of the home. So it's going to be pretty interesting. This is such a sad situation, though. It really is. Check chat. Hold on. That bullhorn, check chat. Okay, hold on. Let me go over to chat. Okay. Yeah, but I don't like him. Me and him aren't friends. Gotcha. So there's truck 1 leaving with a bunch of debris, taking it. Oh, Lord. Look at that house. Look at that house. By the end of the day, it's going to be down to the ground. It's hard to believe in an hour they can take a whole front of a house off and load it up and take it out. Look at that machine next to that porta potty. Is that a porta potty or is that looks like it's almost like a porta potty, but it looks like it's too small. I'm actually surprised because I would have thought that they would have needed a bigger piece of equipment. Because I mean that's big, but I just thought that they would use something bigger. That's what they used to take down the house across the street from me. Let me refresh my search. Let's see if we have delays in trial of Bryan Kohberger. Okay, it says breaking demolition of the Moscow home where the Idaho 4 were killed began in the dark early Thursday morning. And that's it. And we see this stuff coming in. Nobody's really running feeds from here. Let me check and see if Olivia's on the ground yet.
Letting go is one.
Let me turn the volume down. Let's see. Justin on TikTok is running the demolition, but I don't see Olivia. I don't know if Olivia's going to be out there. I told her what time she needed to be there, but it doesn't look like she's out there yet. Or she's probably taking actual footage versus going live, which she might be doing because that's what she would be doing, is getting footage. Okay, let's see here. It looks like WFLA is the only one running this demolition, guys. This is insane for me. I expected Court TV to be out there, CNN, Fox News, Nancy Grace. Like, I was expecting like a whole host of people being out there in front of this house. And I'm sure there are a lot of camera, and I'm pretty sure the New York Post and stuff like that is there. Let's see what they have to say. Somebody's on the screen. Let's hear what they have to say.
For a lot of the questions that our live chat has right now are similar to the questions that that I have, but
this is a Clearwater attorney, Peter Tragos. Maybe he's going to clarify whether or not
situations like this
they should tear the house down.
And I start with this asking one fundamental question: is there any financial reason? Is there any money reason as to why they would be proceeding with this, or is it purely in large part they just want to move on?
Money.
Yeah, I mean, the financial reason would just be to save the money, to keep the house up, to take care of the house, to... Can you hear me still?
Oh, yeah, I got you. But I guess,
Okay.
I guess I'm also wondering... I guess I'm also... Yeah, I got you. I got you on the AirPods.
Okay.
I guess I'm wondering, are they afraid that the house is scaring off prospective students? I mean, I'm thinking about all of the various financial reasons as to why they would be so keen.
All the above, in my opinion.
This risk. It is a risk to demolish this house, and why they would want to move forward with it so badly.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of the PR part of it, right? There's all financial ripple effects that come from people associating this case with the University of Idaho, right? It's students, it's donors, it's people coming to football games, basketball games, parents' weekend, whatever it may be. The little bit of tourism they probably get from the university being there is affected by this. And I think they think this is a step in the direction of putting this behind them, which, again, we can understand from the victim's point of view how hurtful this can be, how difficult this can be. For some of the victims, we can understand some of the victims, don't really care what happens because they realize it's not going to change what's going on. Other victims are probably in support.
And we also have to think that
they also want to put it
Ethan's
behind them. But at the end of the day,
triplets, or his other sister and brother, have to go to the school.
Even 1% and getting that justice, whichever way it turns at trial, to me, I don't understand the reason why you would get rid of the house at this point.
See, I think everybody is on that. And like I said, it took me a little while. I was coming to acceptance with this whole entire situation. I really was. I was coming to absolute, complete acceptance of this entire situation. And then I started, I'm like, am I alone in this? And I started looking into doing some due diligence, reading articles from other defense attorneys and other prosecutors. And I started listening to FBI agents and police officers and other, different types of lawyers. And they were all mimicking the same thing. This is a bad idea. This is a bad idea. And then you hear the pleas from the Gonzalez and the Kernodles. And it's like, what is going on here? Because, I understand that there are 2 other students that go there that are affected by this very thing. But we have to remember that Kaylee's family got a call from family of Kaylee's that go to that school as well. So we have a bunch of students. We have a bunch of families because there were 4 victims. So this is an octopus effect, from each and every one of the victims. And this is just a really bad idea because, as we saw, the FBI. Let's look at what has just happened in the last several months. The FBI's had to go back in that house. The defense had to go back in the house. The prosecution has had to go back in the house, and that's just in the last several months. What did they miss? There is no possibility of them knowing if they missed anything. If they missed something in this house is gone, guys. It's gone. So if they missed anything, if it's needed at all from this point forward, if this is needed at all, we're done. The buck stops here. We have to pray that this doesn't affect the case, but I truly believe they got the right guy. I believe in my heart, in my soul, Bryan Kohberger did this. I think it was great policing. It was all the resources from the state police to the local police to the FBI, and good God, who knows what else? There are other private partners that we know nothing about. And these people are trained. They're trained by outfits we know nothing about, right? The stuff that goes on military wise, we really know nothing about. I've been in politics for many years and still know very little about, to be honest with you. But what I do know is we got to pray. We got to pray that whatever the FBI needed, they got. We have to pray that whatever the defense needed, they got. And we got to pray that whatever the prosecution needed, they got. We go back to that probable cause affidavit as we're watching this home being demolished, and our hearts literally breaking, because we know that in our heart, this is not the right thing to do. We know that in our heart, this is not the right thing to do. But yet we're having to watch it be done. So now let's go to the silver lining, okay? We can't sit here and dwell on something that we cannot control, okay? Clearly, this is out of our hands. This is out of everybody's hands. This was squarely in the university's hands. But again, like I said, as angry as I want to be at the university, that is a porta potty. That is a porta potty. That definitely is a porta potty. The scoop of that machine is the size of the freaking porta potty. I mean, just to put that into perspective. It looks like he's putting on a show for everybody. It's quite interesting to see large equipment operators operate, because some of this stuff that they have to do requires precision. You've got a huge hand, a huge arm, and you've got to get it precisely in the exact spot you need it in some of these cases. And I'm telling you that I've seen it with my own eyes. These heavy equipment operators are very, very, this is that arm right there is almost an extension of his arm. I'm sure this guy's been working this piece of equipment for many, 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 many years, but it takes precision. It does take precision, even with that big arm. It's kind of interesting. Where was I going with this? Frankie Towers says, wow, I don't think they need it, but watching it being destroyed, I think of all the memories they had in that house makes me, oh my gosh, you're not lying, Frankie. I think all of us, feel that, because it's a little crazy. People think that we true crime junkies are crazy. And in part, maybe we are, because we get emotional with these cases. Let's be honest. Tell me that you're not emotionally invested in this case. I can tell you with all certainty, I am emotionally invested in this case. I feel like I knew these girls. That is what is so crazy about this, because we dig so deep in their life. We watch them almost grow up. I got to see childhood photos of Kaylee Gonzalez. I got to see teenage photos of Kaylee and Maddie growing up together. I got to hear their stories, their personal, private stories, their cute little scavenger hunts they did for their families on Easter. How can you not be involved or emotionally invested when in something like that? I feel like I know this family because I know Christy and I know Steve. But I surely feel like I grew up with their daughter. Like Gabby. Yes, MJ, just like Gabby. We get so involved in these cases and we learn so much about them in such a short time, we almost grow up with them. And then when we see this, after seeing all the beautiful videos and photos and all the fun that they had inside this home, for it to be destroyed with one of the worst stains a university could ever have, the quadruple homicide of 4 of their students. And not just any students, beloved, popular, smart, driven, the best of the best type of student. Now, I'm not saying they were the best of the best. I mean, we all saw they had the cops come to their house. They were living the university lifestyle. And there's nothing wrong with that. It didn't change the fact of who they were as people, what they were able to accomplish, the goals that they set and met. The fact that Kaylee graduated 2 years before she was supposed to. She was going off to her dream job. She had her dream car. She was about to embark on her life that she worked so hard to craft for herself. Literally days before she embarked on her new life, it was snuffed short. And this rubble right here is what's left outside of the beautiful memories and many hearts, minds, and photographs. I truly believe, I think that I keep wanting to say, what if? I don't like when we're going for trials to people that I feel like I know, right? Because again, we're invested, emotionally invested. And to see this piece of evidence just being torn apart and packed up, all those memories, all those funny videos, that life and lives that were lived. You know what? I feel like I need music. I feel like I need sad music. We're going to play. Let me go get the other phone. I'll be right back. All right. So while we're sitting here, let's talk about why this piece of evidence is so important. And then what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how we can move forward without it. Because I know that there are a lot of people that are very concerned, you know, just like me, because we don't like playing the what if. We don't like playing the what if. When it comes to victims, we don't like gambling with their justice. And I just feel like this is gambling with their justice. You know, I mean, that's what my heart says. My mind tells me something different. My mind tells me a lot of stuff different. That's not what I want. What do I want? The question of the day: what in the world do I want? I want to go to the... All right, so we're not... Let me go ahead and put the volume back on this just for a quick second while I try to find what I need to find. Sounds like they're talking about something
This
good.
comment, Peter. We could always go down the rabbit hole of what ifs, but given how topical this is, I want to read this comment. #HJB from J. Ray. What if somehow the murder weapon was inside of the house, like in an air conditioning duct?
Oh, wow. Great perspective.
It has to be stated. The actual knife used in the murders of Ethan, Xana, Maddie, and Kaylee has never been recovered, according to prosecutors and authorities, rather. Even though they, of course, combed through this house, combed through the Kohberger home in Pennsylvania, while the sheath was recovered, in addition to a DNA sample on the button of that sheath, the knife itself has never been recovered. But J. Ray is asking, if the murder weapon was found in the rubble here, Peter, then what?
Oh, you're saying if it was actually found? I mean, obviously they'd have to do testing. They'd have to look at it. The problem with it would be, a major problem would be, where was it, right? I mean, you see these huge pieces of machinery just ripping stuff apart. If, you know, he drops it in the back of the truck and somebody sees a knife fall out, where was it? Was it on the first floor, the second floor? Which room was it in? Which air duct was it in? Was it in the toilet? Where was it hidden? We have no idea. Is there going to be DNA testing? Is there going to be any of these construction workers or demolition people or anybody before with their DNA on it? How do you actually keep it clean? There are all sorts of issues. Now, the argument on the other side could be, well, we probably never would have found it if they didn't demolish the house. So maybe it was a good thing they demolished the house if they did find the weapon. To me, one of the other big questions is, if there's a not guilty verdict, it's over. And I think it's almost impossible to prosecute anybody else than Bryan Kohberger at this point, because they're not going to have the opportunity to do this testing, look at the house, see if they want to block it, and demand a jury view on their side. So this is an all or nothing attempt, which most are. Once you prosecute and arrest and try somebody for a crime like this, it's very difficult to then switch gears to somebody else, because you've already made statements and gotten witness statements and put up enough evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that you believe it's this person. So any defense would be able to use that person as another suspect as besides of their client.
That is what I call a plan B, is where you try to bring in a different person to do it. And this is the problem I have. Remember, they tried to beat me up. And what I mean by they is channels, these other channels out there, because I was raising the fact of the 8-hour window that Dylan waited to call 911. She still didn't call 911. My understanding is Hunter, the one that, can you guys see? Hold on, let me see if you guys can see. You probably can't. I got it blown up. You probably won't even be able to see it. You can barely see it. Over here, this gray house, right on the right-hand side of the screen, that gray house is Hunter's house. Hunter and his girlfriend, I believe, went over to their house, the murder house, the next morning, and they were the ones that actually used Dylan's phone. I truly believe it was Hunter from this gray and white house in front of the darker gray house here, over in the right-hand corner, the one that picked up the audio from that night. I believe that is the Hunter that went to their house and used Dylan's phone to call in the report of the unconscious person. And I don't think they reported them unconscious, guys. We've never heard the 911 call. Remember, the chief was entertaining releasing that 911 call when the DNA came in or something came back with Bryan Kohberger, and they decided to arrest him on the 30th. But I want to say right around the 27th or 28th is when he was talking, if I'm remembering correctly, December is when he started talking about potentially releasing that 911 call, but we've never heard it. And many of us have been very confused as to why it came in as an unconscious person. Now, we did look into what that meant, and we heard some things that, for all intents and purposes, satisfied our curiosity. We learned that, death is a medical diagnosis. So the only person that could make that medical diagnosis would be EMT, the coroner, or something along the lines. So when it comes to reporting a crime or reporting a death, it would be reported as an unconscious person, because there was no medical professional that gave them the medical diagnosis of death. That is, it makes sense, but it really doesn't, I'm not sure why that happened. I can only tell you what we heard and what we found out as to be the explanation of it. I don't know. I don't know what was said in that, but I have to imagine. And you remember that latent shoe print? Remember the latent shoe print? I keep wondering if it was one of the kids that were inside that home, or if that latent shoe print was truly the assailant. Hopefully that music's not too loud for you, but I just felt like we needed some music behind it, because I didn't really want to talk about the topics that JB's talking about. I just, wanted to see the footage, and it just seems like, News Nation has the feed, and there's several different cameras set up. One that's clearly on the side where you can get the side angle. Obviously, this one's on the front, so there must be another side view as well, but they're not going to let them set up on that one strip. But if you see this stuff over here, let me see if I can blow this up for you. Maybe you guys will be able to see my cursor. Can you guys see my cursor on here? Can you guys see it? Like I'm right here at the machine. I'm right here at the machine, the arm of the machine. You see my little cursor up here? Well, this is the road that I'm talking about right over here where this white truck is with the lights on it, right by the brown building. See, when you go down this King Road where this truck is coming out of, if you go the opposite way, it almost does like this circle around this apartment building, this the brownstone. And they come out right where that white truck is, right here. Yes, his dad did HVAC for the local schools and businesses. Bryan worked with him when he was in trouble for a few years. I would check the family's home. He may have had, you know what I honestly think happened to it, Frank? Oh, I keep hitting it twice. What I honestly think happened to it, Frankie? I actually think that, remember those trips, those really weird trips that he made? I want to say one of them was to Albertsons or something. It was, you know, and then he also went to that one spot, like a wooded area where they said that he pinged at for like an hour or something. I got to read the probable cause affidavit. Some of this stuff is coming back to me, but some of it isn't. And but I think because they didn't know him, they didn't know his name for like 30 days. He could have literally dumped his, you know, the bloody clothing. He could have literally dumped the bloody clothing and the knife in a dumpster anywhere along his path. He could have went into Albertsons and went into the men's bathroom and dumped the knife in the bottom of one of the trash receptacles there, wrapped it up in like maybe a cloth or something and dumped it in the trash receptacles, because let's face it, nobody looked for him for 30 days. The garbage would have already been gone. It would have already been at the dump long before he was ever a suspect in this crime. It's possible. You know, did that happen that way? None of us really know. We could never really know. Job making this instant cold case. Good job at making this an instant cold case. This is not a cold case. This is very much a live case. Indian Mountain Lake. Sorry, typos. The Salmon River is right there and runs through Lewiston, where he drove to. Interesting. Yeah, I believe that he did, that it's something, because I remember over in Botanica or whatever that thing, there was a lake out there, and I remember Olivia and I were going. The lake was iced over when we were there, so we couldn't get too close to it, you know, because I didn't know how deep it was or if we would fall in, but it was iced over. But we got as close as we could just to see if it had been, you know, if it was possible that the weapon was dumped there. But, you know, that was back before we knew of Bryan Kohberger. You know, we didn't know of Bryan Kohberger. We didn't have the probable cause affidavit that we have now. As a matter of fact, it wasn't released until after our second trip. I haven't been to Idaho since. So I'm kind of excited to, you know, go back and maybe look at some of these things with the probable cause affidavit and see it from the lens of Bryan Kohberger. But it doesn't look like I'm going to be going back there, because it's so expensive for me and this channel to get out there that we really only have the budget for us to go out there at the trial time. You know, we just don't have it in the budget, nor would I, you know, $5,000. I mean, that's what it costs to go out there. And $5,000, it could be used toward another case that, you know, that we might be able to help an actual victim with. I mean, these victims are, you know, they're victims, but they're gone. You know, and I have to remember that, and I have to budget for this channel, because at the end of the day, we're here to try to help. And there's families. I mean, I've got a case right now that came into my email. It's an older case that I've got to do a lot of legwork on to try to get caught up on the story. You know, just the backstory, just understanding who the victim is. We got a solid case. BK and Ninja Assassin killed In 4 and 7 minutes carried 0 DNA. Well, you know what? It sounds crazy, but no, I don't believe he got out of there without being covered in blood. I absolutely do not believe that he got out of there without being covered in blood. I just believe that he is a criminology major that has studied this for years and years and has a bachelor's degree and a master's degree. Am I right about that? He has a master's degree in criminology too, because he was going for his PhD. So this is a man that has a lot of knowledge over the normal person, like master knowledge of crimes and crime scenes, including, I'm sure that they have studied the cleanup of those. And how, in the process of the forensic DNA, I'm sure that they've had to understand what the proper protocol is whenever you're doing forensic testing. You know, cleaning your area, making sure that you have your hair and all your stuff covered up so there's no cross contamination. Right? He, of all people, would have the most knowledge about stuff like that. I've never said he didn't walk out of that house covered in blood. I never said one time that he did not have DNA on his persons. I'm just saying that they have found none in his car because he wasn't in his car when he brutalized them. We have heard stories, rumors, that there was a naked man that night, which would bode right into somebody stripping down butt naked and getting out of their clothes before they ever get into the vehicle. Furthermore, even if he did have rub or contact blood, he would be the perfect person that would know how the proper cleaning of that so there's no DNA left, because again, forensic testing, you need a clean area. So they have to have a way to fully remove DNA and blood. And I believe that's through the use of peroxide-based products. They're odorless. They work down on the micro level of molecules, DNA molecules, blood molecules. They destroy them and remove them completely. So people ask all the time, how can he possibly go? Because he had a lot of time to clean his car. He had a lot of time to clean his house. He had over 30 days. He had a lot of time to make sure that somebody couldn't find, say, the murder weapon. You got a lot of things stacked against the defense, or excuse me, the prosecution, the state. But that's just a hurdle to get over. All you have to do is explain it. And if you explain it beyond a reasonable doubt, by God, you got yourself a conviction. BK bleached the house, the whole house. I don't think BK, everybody keeps saying bleach. I don't think BK bleaches. It's an offensive odor. You get a better clean with a peroxide-based product. And again, it breaks down. Bleach doesn't break down blood. Peroxide does. It may affect it. It may interfere with it. But everybody keeps saying bleach. I don't see Bryan Kohberger using bleach. Heck, even here in my house, I have a bleach cleaner that I use for my sink. And it's just because, you know what? When I cook meat and stuff and I wash my dishes, I like that bleach smell in my sink. That's the only reason why I use bleach in my sink. The rest of my house, I use anything that doesn't have a smell to it. But there's something about my kitchen. My kitchen, it's a personal preference. I'm biased. I could use peroxide-based stuff and know I get a better clean, but I like the smell of peroxide or of bleach in my kitchen. Makes me feel like I got a clean kitchen, and it's like the kitchen and the bathroom. Those are the ones that need to have the bleach smell in them. Ellie could have arrested him. Golly, look at that house. My God. Oh, guys, this is so stinking hard. This is so stinking hard. I got to tell you. Look at that. All the plumbing lines. I keep wondering is the reason why they took the front down first thing this morning before it was light out is because they didn't want people to see the drywall. because I have a funny feeling. You got to remember, it was Xana's room that had that substance running off the back of the house. Vinegar for cleaner. Yeah, but the vinegar, from my understanding, I don't know. I have to look into vinegar, but I don't know if that broke down the DNA. See, the reason why I like peroxide is because when we were looking, I heard ammonia and bleach. This is my misconception. So just a few months ago, my misconception was you use ammonia. If you want to destroy DNA, your DNA, use ammonia on the blood. You know, that's what I was always taught. Boondock Saints, right? Right? Ammonia. So but I found out, so I'm thinking that, so I'm doing some research on that, and I find out ammonia really doesn't do anything to deter the DNA. They can pull DNA with, it's saturated in ammonia. It's a little difficult, but they can do it. They only need a microscopic little piece of DNA. So I was actually kind of shocked that ammonia didn't affect the DNA like I thought it would, because again, Boondock Saints. If you don't know what I'm talking about, watch the movie. You'll understand. But when I was doing my research, I found peroxide-based products. Peroxide actually breaks down the DNA. It makes it untestable. It said that it removes it. So I don't know if there's other products out there like peroxide that also does that, but that's kind of where my research ended, was at peroxide, because at that point that kind of explained, because it was when we were talking about Bryan Kohberger, that article that came out where somebody alleged that his sister believed it was him that did the crime, and they watched him clean his car out. And so, and the story went like they watched him clean his car out with bleach. And I said, who cleans their car out with bleach? Because you got to think of it like this, like bleach will stain, it will leave marks that you use bleach. It'd be very noticeable. So we started looking into what would actually cause, what product could be used, because of the removal of the DNA, because like you said, Walt, we got to look at this from the lens of the defense. They're saying there's no DNA, but listen, he had over 30 days, 32 days before I think he was on the road heading back to Pennsylvania with his father, to clean his car, to clean his apartment, to make sure there was no evidence. He would have all the technology and the equipment offered to him by the school, Wazoo, to check his car. He might even, as part of his class work, be required to purchase some of that equipment himself, some of the sprays himself. Some of these universities don't offer you the chemicals. If you want to be a part of the course, you've got to buy the books. And you got to buy all your stuff that goes with that course, including your chemicals and your blue light or black light or whatever light. You need to have that in your kit. So there's a lot of stuff that he may already have just for being a part of that school, or maybe a course previous before he even got to this school. I do believe he's been trained on how to handle blood cleanup. I do believe that, and is part of his criminology training. I think that is a fair statement, assumption to make. Yes, I have 5 kids, 4 are girls, and peroxide is the only. Yeah, exactly, Frankie. I remember one time, again, I always had problems, right? So I was a problem child, and it was me and my ex-boyfriend, and we were, I want to say I was 15 or 16, and he was like 17. And he got mad at me. I think it's because I was breaking up with him or something like that. I think because I was between 2 guys, like I would break up with this guy and then go with this guy, and then I'd break up with this guy and go back with this guy. It was just like this love triangle that I was bouncing back and forth between, whatever. I mean, I was 16. It wasn't all like, it's just, but he got mad and he punched his window. He actually, one hit, and it spidered his window. It also busted his hand all to hell. I mean, it was just gushing blood. and he had it all over his pants. And the only thing that got it out is I had two bottles. Well, of course, I'm 16. I didn't have them. They were stocked in the house courtesy of one of my parents that purchased them, right? Because it's not mine. It's my mom and my mommy's or my daddy's. I don't know whose it was, but I used it, right? So I had two of the big containers of the peroxide, and I remember plugging. We had this wet bar in our house, and so I remember plugging the sink and just taking both bottles and pouring it into the sink, and just taking his jeans and just sticking his jeans into the peroxide. I literally soaked them for like 3 days. Got them out, washed them, not a drop of blood on those jeans. And I'm talking about jeans literally full of blood. I remember that like it was yesterday. I remember my dad, he looked at Brian, he's like, he just shook his head. He just shook his head and walked away. Like, what do you do? Like, he just looked at him. He's like, well, was it worth it? Now you got to replace. Now you got to go get stitches, and you got to replace your front windshield. So, I hope that your anger, like that's my father. I hope it was worth it. All right, let's get back to this. So what we're watching, for those that are here, we're watching the destruction of 1122 King Road residents as they are removing the home. Again, I'm not really a major fan of this teardown. I felt that the university was very sneaky in what they were doing. And I'm sorry, I just can't get behind that. I feel so bad for the families that are having to, I feel like if the families had reassurance, from the prosecutor, if the prosecutor was just keeping them abreast and holding their hand through this very difficult process, like this prosecutor should know that this is one of the most difficult processes that any family, parent, or person could ever potentially go through. You know what I mean? Like, you lost your freaking kid. Where's the heart? That's my question. Where's the heart? I feel like there's no heart in this. Wow, look at that. Sidon's coming down. That looks like it's Dylan's room. Hold on, there's a room there. They keep moving the camera. I wish we had more feeds. This just sucks. Seriously. Let me see if I can find some more feeds. Maybe some more news crews got out there and set up. Okay, here, hold on. Oh, thank God. Okay. Sorry, guys. There we go. We got some up. Good Lord. There we go. Oh my God, I'm crying, guys. I am crying. Look at the house. Look at the house. Oh my goodness. I'm trying to look and see at the walls. I don't know. I don't know if they had the cleaning crew come in here already, or if they were going to have the cleaning crew. God, this is breaking my heart. This is breaking my heart. But you see how they went. It looks like that's their MO. They went to the worst rooms for. It just seems like they went to the worst rooms first and got that all broken down, because the front of the house went first, which had Xana's room in it. And then they went to the back of the house with the girls' rooms in it and tore it all down first. So I feel like that they got all the stuff torn down. So there was nothing, I don't know, just sad. Oh no, oh my God. Oh no! Oh my God! nails literally go up and down my entire body. Oh my God. It's gone, guys. It's gone. Oh my goodness. I'm like, I'm trying not to cry here. I'm gonna take this off. Oh my God. Oh. I didn't think it was going to bother me this bad, but I got to be honest with you. I'm here. My eyes are filled with tears right now. And I don't have, where are my tissues? I'm really upset about this. I got to be honest with you.
So we'll talk about that later.
Oh my God. I cannot believe it's gone. I cannot believe it's freaking gone. Oh. It's gone, guys. I know, me too. I just had to get a new box of tissue. I can't even find my other box. I had to wipe my eyes. This is really bothering me, and now I've got like the tissue in the corner of my eye just burning right now. I can't believe it's gone. I hope Steve and Christy weren't watching this. I really do. I hope none of the families are watching this. You know? You know, there what may go again. What does it say? Internet went. Take this off. What does it say? The guy came from. We've got information on the guy. I'm gonna star you and we'll get back to it in just a second. Jeez, that house is gone, guys. Like it's gone. I feel like I need a therapist on the show right now. Do we actually have a therapist on the show? Like, I feel like we need a therapist on the show. I'm really emotional. I'm lost. I'm like lost for words. I can't either, Reap. I really can't. I just can't believe it's rubble. I told you guys they would have this down and up, didn't I tell you? This I keep forgetting this was a wood frame house. The house across the street was block, and they had it down. They had it down lickety split as well. It was ridiculously crazy how quickly they had the house down. They probably have about another 2 hours of loading this up. I would say about another 3 or 4, maybe 5 dumps, and the house is gone. I just can't believe it. He should have rolled his window up. I don't think he realized he left his driver window down. I wouldn't have my window down with all that dust. It's hard to believe. So tell me what you guys, I know that you guys have been in here to, chatting about how this, but I mean, now that this is done, do you feel like this is healing the community? Like, I don't know. I just have mixed feelings about this. Oh, thank you, Only M. God bless you. Wrong one. Oops. God bless you. Yeah, I think this is just a poor idea. So let me just mute this real quick, or actually let me just turn it down real quick. There we go. So to tell you guys a little bit about the person that owned this house. So the person that owned this house, I can't remember exactly where he lived, but he didn't live in this state. I want to say he lived in I don't know, it's crazy, like Colorado or Arizona. I can't remember which state he was in, but he owned a real estate outfit, and he sold a lot of his kind of forte was selling properties to parents of students in these university areas. And so this was an investment property for him. So he owned this property. I don't know if he had a mortgage on it or what, but I've got to think that he ended up signing it over to the university because of the obvious reasons. He couldn't make any money off of it. He didn't know what to do with the house. He was going to be on the hook for, all the carrying costs, the cost to protect the house until trial. So he ended up deeding this property over to the university. So any mortgage that was on this property ended up being, obviously had to be paid off by the university. So if there was no mortgage on this house, then he had to donate that house. I mean, you got to think this man probably, thank you, God bless you, Lulu's Nana. You got to think that he still had the carrying costs of this home the entire time. He had to pay to have this house secure. He probably said, look, I can't afford this. Anybody knows when to, especially a studious businessman knows when to hold it and when to fold it. And he folded. He said, here, university, you take care of this house, because he's now responsible for this house. He's got to do whatever the law requires him to do. So it would be natural, he did donate it. It is a university. Universities are typically nonprofit. I have not looked into this one. So I don't know the specifics of the University of Idaho, whether they're a nonprofit institution or not. But typically, if they're a nonprofit institution, the owner of that house would have a write-off that he could use for his taxes. I don't know the laws in the write-offs. I know that there is you have the ability to stretch out your write-off over a certain number of years as well. He may have opted to do that depending on his personal situation. But either way, this is the property of the university. And after a year of the university having to pay for 24/7, 365 day security fees, they're saying, they asked the state if they needed this house. The state told them that they do not need the house. The defense obviously doesn't want the house. This is the biggest piece of evidence against Bryan Kohberger. The defense is not going to put up a fight. Where we expect the fight to come from is the state prosecutor, which the state prosecutor is laid down and said has made the determination there is no useful information or preview of this home that would be beneficial to any juror on the jury. That was the determination of the state prosecutor, Bill Thompson. So the university obviously strategically placed the demolition of this home. Again, we have to look at the whole, we have to take our emotions out of this and look at the whole situation. They had to pay for private security to be on this property 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We have to understand that that kind of round the clock security costs an extremely large amount of money. Tens of thousands of dollars every single month that this university has had to put out for the security of this home. They ask, many people say, why didn't they got the fence up? They boarded the house up. Why did they need to pay for the security for this home? It's because they are in a college town. And as we've seen with even Kaylee and the kids at this home, they have parties. They do stupid, teenage university experience type of things. It's not going to be uncommon for us to believe that a student or a few intoxicated on beverages that they're not supposed to be intoxicated on get this wild hair up their butt to go break into the murder house. Now you just exposed all of these students to not only the chemicals in that house, the decomposition of the blood, but they've also been exposed to the site that they don't even want us as the public to see. The only way we're going to see the sites of what truly happens in this case is if we go directly to the trial and sit inside that to watch every stitch of evidence that's being presented. And that will be inclusive of autopsy photos, photos of them being where they're at on, in the rooms. These are going to be very graphic in nature. It's going to take the audience breath away, so to speak. Hey, put an end to the hate. It's nice to see you. I owe you a lot of money for those cigarettes you don't smoke. That's funny. Thank you. Jen is reminding me while we have the afternoon people here, tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm going to be on Sweet Misery's channel, and we're going to be discussing another one of Turtle Boy's victims. Turtle Boy this Karen Reed case is not the only case that he has caused major problems in. I did not know this because I didn't know Turtle Boy existed until the Karen Reed case. And I didn't know the kind of person he was until the Karen Reed case, which is kind of bizarre to me because apparently he's been covering missing persons and true crime cases for some time. Apparently he has been really nasty and utilizing the law to intimidate people. That's not what the law is used for. So it's been a little crazy. We understand why he is where he is right now. I think law enforcement just didn't know what else to do. I truly believe we're going to dive into a little more detail, but I truly believe, Turtle Boy's he's got a hearing on the 25th. I think this was to shake him. Nothing else was working. I think that they all thought maybe putting him behind bars, which they have reasons to, would be a good thing to settle his heels, to cool his, he needs to cool it down. He's causing a lot of problems. He's hurting a lot of people. And hopefully by January 25th, he can have a bond and get out and start conducting himself like a human being. Because it seems like it just seems to me when I look at him, what I feel is that he's allowed this kind of overtake his life. I just think he needs to come back down to earth. I think he has a good platform if he utilizes it correctly. And I just don't think he's been utilizing it correctly. He's one of those people that if you challenge him, he loses all perspective and just goes death scorched earth on you. I just think that there's a person, there are people out there like that. They just can't take any type of criticism. They don't know when just to let go and move on. And I think that's one of the bad personality defects that Turtle Boy may have. I don't know him. So I'm just assuming that be the case. I've met a lot of people that are like that. You just want them to stop and you do something to kind of shake them. And instead of that shaking them and then taking a clue, they want to double down and make their situation 10 times worse. until it gets to this point. Because do you think Turtle Boy thought he was going to be locked up? You think he was going to get into a situation he couldn't get himself out of? Do you think he thought he didn't have the attorney to get him out of this pickle? He absolutely did. That's why he treated that woman the way he treated her. He thought he could do it. He thought he was untouchable. And he brutalized. We listened to that. And I'm sorry, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That was horrific for me as a female to listen to. It was gut-wrenching for me. It got me on an emotional level, hearing that lady crying and begging and hearing the sorrow, helplessness, and hopelessness in her voice and not knowing what to do. And the only person that she's looking for to help guide her is wanting to walk out the door and leaving her to deal with the mess he created. What a great stand-up guy that guy is. That's exactly it. He went too far. He went too far. Yeah, I know. I just found out about it. We're going to be interviewing one of his, another one of his victims tonight on Sweet Misery's channel. I hope everybody goes over to Sweet Misery's channel and subs up so they don't get to miss that. That's going to be in literally 7 hours. In 7 hours, we're going to be talking about another case. And I think you guys are going to be pretty shocked, to be honest with you. I just sent an email with a statement by Bill Thompson regarding being unlawful in Idaho to visit the scene. Please read it for us to help us understand. Okay, let's see what you got going on here. Give me just a second. Just want to make sure it's not showing on my screen. Perfect, it's not. Okay. So let's read this. This was from, I don't know when this was from, but this is what it says. It says, Latah County Prosecuting Attorney Bill Thompson said in a statement Wednesday that we anticipate no further use of the 1122 King Road premises. Based on our review of Idaho case law, the current condition of the premises is so substantially different than that at the time of the homicides that the jury's view would not be authorized. We appreciate the University of Idaho's help in facilitating the investigators gathering the necessary measurements, etc., to enable creation of illustrations exhibits that should be admissible and hopefully and helpful to the jury. That should be admissible and helpful. I love that. So there's some stars here. It says based on our current, or based on our review of Idaho case law, the current condition of the premise. Okay, so I think that they're already, this is what I am assuming. I'm assuming that they're already addressing an argument that the defense would be making if they were to want to preview the property. The defense would most likely be arguing that the current condition of the premises is substantially different than that of the time of the homicides. And it is substantially different. A lot of these crime scenes are substantially different, and they're substantially different for the reasons I set forth in previous lives. It's because they don't have, they're like Swiss cheese on the inside. They've taken door handles, they've taken pipes, they've taken, faucet handles, toilet seats. I mean, you name it, they've taken it. It's definitely, none of these crime scenes are in the condition they were at the time of the crime. And he's saying, based on the review of Idaho case law, the current condition is substantially different. And I think he's trying to use the case law to justify them tearing the house down. And we knew they were going to use these illustrative exhibits because I said that's the reason, most likely the reason why the FBI went back to that house. And of course, a month after they were in the house, we find out that to be true. They were going in there to get this all videotaped and stuff and I figured that they were using the 3D imagery for the court. So he's looking at the law, like what would make him review the law to see if he can keep the house up or not? Like what was the rush on taking this house down, and why is the prosecuting attorney aiding in the destruction of the most and largest piece of physical evidence that they have for this case. I don't know if I'll ever understand. It seems to me that legal scholars on both that have defense backgrounds as well as prosecution backgrounds is saying this is a terrible idea. But obviously, it's falling on deaf ears. The university doesn't want to hear it. The prosecution doesn't want to hear it. Nobody gives a crap about this house but the public and the family. The public being the bosses, the taxpayers, and the families are that of the victims, the 4 people that died in this very house that they just chose to tear down literally months before the trial. We're having the trial at the end of next year. Like, we literally only have 6 to 8 more months to go. At this point, what difference did it really make? It just seemed like a lot of insult to injury, especially blindsiding the family with this stuff. And I kind of understand why the Gonzalez just need to get away and go look at some pretty scenery, because this is just, it's too much. It's too much. Without coffee for 3 days. I don't know how you do it. I'd be bouncing off the walls. I'd be, I don't know. I'm telling you, I gotta have coffee. Like, that's like one of the first things I do when I wake up in the morning is I check my phone, right? I check my phone and get coffee. That's like literally like I thought that's like the very first things that I do. And it really needs to be, I should be saying a prayer before I even touch my phone, right? Praying that, hey, thanks for letting me wake up on this side of the bed, right? Right? We never say that. We never wake up and be happy like, hey, once upon a time, I used to worry whether this day would come, right? Today it is here. Betty wouldn't be able to go live. Hey, Turkey Man, did I see somebody saying hi to you, but I didn't see you come in. Does this help the prosecution or the defense the best? Honestly, I think the defense, because this is the biggest piece of evidence against Bryan Kohberger. They're not going to put up a fuss. That's for sure. I'm just still in shock and awe. The house is gone. I still can't believe we got the camera moved literally right in the nick of time. And it was like, I say right in the nick of time, but I tell you, I moved the camera to this one, and like literally when the cameras came on and I saw what they did and they started pushing that house over, my heart just sunk, literally sunk. Sorry, guys. Give me just a second. I gotta check something. There we go. I think we'll be okay. Sorry, I didn't realize it was still left on any, and I noticed that we had a couple of people shouldn't be here. Yeah. I slept 2 hours a week every single night. That happens. Oh, it's Linda Lou in the house? Well, hello there, my love. Linda Lou. Well, it's nice to see you, love. As you can see, it's not the best day here in the world, you know. I mean, there's 1122 King Road right there. It's hard to believe. Absolutely hard to believe. Oh, Frankie, I didn't even ask you. Was that good? Did you I know you said something about Bill's statement and you wanted some clarification for it. Oh, and Jen, thank you, Jen K. Thank you so much for the Cash App earlier today. Y'all hit that reaction button. There you go. Don't forget to thumbs up this. Again, we were here. I know Olivia was out there, or should have been out there. I just hadn't seen her going live. Let me see if she's out there yet. I'd love to see her. See if she's on. Friends. Yeah, Olivia's there. Hold on, let's see if we can get over to Olivia's. Jump. Just jump off again. Hopefully it's okay. You guys can hear me just fine. We'll probably come back to this feed. Full screen. She's got us on the ground. There's Olivia. Look at the ground view. Let's see if I can blow this. Hold on. She's got us like directly on. I think we're on the ground. Like she's got us in the pavement. I don't think she has us on a tripod at all. I think we're just leaning up against something, running. Ah, look at that. Look at that. Looks like she might be having some internet issues out there because they're trying to get the foundation. That foundation's blocked. Oh, good Lord. Oh, there it goes. Mm. So Olivia must be right where that yellow guy, the yellow jacket is. She must be like right directly across from them because she's got us on the ground right out in front of there. I can't believe that whole house is gone. They had, in less than an hour, they had that house down to the ground. I just want to put that in perspective. Oh, sorry. Yeah, there's the yellow jackets right there. You can see them on this feed right here. Get the volume up on this one. I have the volume now. She's having some connect. Oh, it's saying I'm on that unstable. So TikTok's not liking me today. It's not. Hold on. Sorry, guys. It's giving me a little bit of problems here. There we go. And for those that are just joining us, I just want to remind everybody, this is the house, 1122 King Road. This was the Moscow of Idaho murder house, the Idaho 4. This is where Kaylee Gonzalez, she was 21 years old. Maddie Mogan, she was 21 years old. Xana Kernodle, she was 20 years old. And Ethan Chapin was 20 years old. They all lost their life in this house in the early morning hours between 4 and 4:20 a.m. After a lot of speculation and a lot of online rumors, a lot of people were thrown under the bus as being responsible for this heinous crime. Then on June 30th, this is the same time that they were having the celebration of life for Maddie Mogan and Xana and Kaylee Gonzalez and Coeur d'Alene. We learned that morning when the cleaning crew was coming to clean the house that Bryan Kohberger was named as a suspect and arrested. We didn't know who it was. We just heard an arrest. It was happening live right on my show as we were in front of this home. And it was the first time that we saw and learned of Bryan Kohberger and Bryan Kohberger's name. One of the biggest fears that I can tell you the Gonzalez had expressed to me and Olivia was the fact that they were about to have this celebration of life, and they were so concerned that the person that did this to their children would be in that crowd. And when they were able to go to that celebration of life, knowing that the monster that did this to their child was arrested, they had, of course, they had some questions, you know, is this the right person? How do they know, you know, those questions. But at least for that moment, they had some peace of knowing that they didn't have to worry about shaking the hand of the man that did this to their daughter and her best friend. We fast forward after Bryan Kohberger was extradited back to Idaho, which I believe he arrived on January 4th. From that point forward, it has been a whirlwind, you know, from his attorney in Pennsylvania, stating that he wanted to be back so he could be exonerated of his crimes. He was eagerly wanting to come back to exonerate himself from his crimes. And so far, he's had every opportunity to do just that. And instead of providing an alibi and exonerating himself of this crime, he has made himself look more and more guilty as this case progresses. The bottom line is that this house is not needed. Is it? I don't know. I'm going to say at this point, it's gone. It's not going to be needed now. And I think they have enough evidence against Bryan Kohberger to make a conviction. I believe that they are going to have their conviction if they can prove even a large portion of their probable cause affidavit. And I truly believe they wouldn't have put it in the probable cause affidavit unless they could prove it. They weren't going to go with speculation. They could only go with fact. And this was the facts that they had. And that probable cause affidavit was enough that warranted an arrest of Bryan C. Kohberger. And we are here today. This is a house that has been erected since the day that he was arrested, since the day that this happened, this incident happened. This house has been there. I don't know why now, when we're finally outside of the time that we could, see the trial, just months, literally months away, less than a year away. Why now? I can honestly say we've discussed this house not looking the same as it did the day that the kids were killed in it. We know that to be true because we know that they took out drywall. They took out flooring. We know that they did these things. They do these things in every single homicide case. When a homicide happens inside a home, they go in, they take their evidence. Sometimes that evidence requires them carving out huge pieces of drywall, wood, and flooring. We expect that this house, just like every other house that's involved with an investigation of this magnitude, would not look like. But it didn't preclude those jurors from going inside the home, even though it was substantially different than the night of the homicides. But this was the choice of the university. They did talk to the prosecution. The prosecution, despite three of the four families wanted this house to be up. But like with many of the decisions that I've seen on this case, the prosecution, Bill Thompson, doesn't seem to care, in my opinion, what these families say. It's his way or the highway, it seems to me. I could be wrong. There may be more here. Maybe we'll find out more later down the road. But there you have it. For those that are just tuning in, we're at the top of the second hour. Don't forget tonight at 6 p.m., we're going to have a great live on Sweet Misery's channel with another victim of Turtle Boy. I hope that everybody from this channel comes over there and supports this interview. It'll be great. I think you guys will learn a lot more about Turtle Boy by the time the live is over. At least that's my hope. I'm hoping that we can unpack it. So it's a lot of information to take in. I get it. But I think with some good strategy, we'll be able to keep you guys so you understand exactly what transpired, how it transpired, and what led this particular person to become a victim of Turtle Boy. And we'll be doing that tonight at 6 p.m. again on Sweet Misery's channel. Please come over there, sub up to her. And we're going to make it as good, as fun, and as informative as possible. We are talking about some touchy subjects, so it is going to be a little bit of emotional too, but we try to keep it as upbeat as humanly possible. Thank you, The Real Me Too, also reminding us that Leilani's February 3rd hearing date for justice for Baby Q. They have set this for 2025. Okay, so this is over a year away. I don't know why they're giving her. Obviously, this is a very complex case for Chatham County. All we want is justice for that little boy. And right now, the FBI still has his remains. That little boy still hasn't been able to be put to rest and to rest at peace. And it's heartbreaking for me. And then now we're going to be 2025 before we hear whether Quentin gets justice or not. But I promise you, come hell or high water, we will be there for that trial. We will absolutely be there for that trial. And I just pray she can never hurt another one of her children again, because I truly believe all of them were abused by her. And it scares the crap out of me that she had a 4-month-old child, baby girl, in her care that can't even speak. It terrifies me what she did to that little baby that we don't know about. So there's kind of your updates. We'll see you guys back here at 6 p.m. Guys, I would stay here and let you guys watch this, but at this point, we're just watching them put this into the trailers. The house is gone. It's this chapter is officially over and closed, and I don't think we'll ever forgive the University of Idaho for this. I really don't. Even whether it was right, wrong, or indifferent, it doesn't matter. You know, it should come down to the victims, and it should come down to the victims' families. And they could have made a way, and they chose not to. And that's what's so heartbreaking for me, is that they chose not to. If you are suffering from online bullying, we say no to bullying here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. And if you are, we're asking that you stop bullying by reaching out to our federal government at this address below and that website to sign up to stopbullying.gov. Guys, make it a great day. God bless you. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And I'd like you guys to please be safe and kind to one another. You know, we never know what somebody is going through. A little bit of encouragement, a nice smile, just being kind to somebody could really make a difference in their life. And I hope you can make a difference in somebody's, in your community. Please don't forget to get involved. Start something, you know, go to your political meetings. You get a women's group, get something that'll help empower other women in your community. There's something that you can do to give back. And I definitely hope that each and every person tries to find a way to give back in their own way. Sometimes, you know, a lot of us are strapped. We have to work. We can't, you know, be at these meetings. We can't have our voice be heard. Well, you can help sponsor somebody that does that in your community. You can write letters. You can do stuff in your spare time to really make your voice heard and to be impactful in your community. We're all about community involvement. We're all about giving back to people less fortunate than us. And we're all about not being a Richard. Don't be a Richard, right? Don't be a Richard. So guys, have a great day. I will see you all back at 6. Yes. Don't forget, Sweet Misery, 6. Don't forget. All right, love you guys. We'll see you soon. It's a sad day for all of us, okay? So if you have some emotional baggage over this, light a candle. Have a little meditation. Now is a good time, you know, for these families. Pray for these families' strength. They need strength right now. They need strength. Every day they wake up, they have to relive this nightmare. This is reliving this nightmare. This is got to be just the worst. I can't even imagine emotionally for these families what this has got to be doing to them. So let's just pray for their strength today, their strength, their patience. Just wrap them with love. If you're spiritual, wrap them with spiritual love. If you're religious, wrap them with religious love. Just wrap this family. Do your part. Even when this show goes off, do your part. These families need it. And they need it more today than they have since the day that they lost their children. They need it today. Then they needed this today. We need to be praying. We need to keep them in our thoughts, keep them on our minds, and keep them in our hearts. God bless you guys.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.